write it down. Just don't say it. Just get a revised contract.
Good afternoon and welcome to our last meeting of September. We have a few people in our audience and hopefully we've got a few others watching us on our Electric City Television. Our invocation tonight will be given by Mayor Pro Tem Tony Stewart, and in respect to the flags will be led by Councilmember Beatrice Thompson. Please rise.
Let us pray. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight to give you thanks for the many blessings that you bestow upon this city. We seek blessings on the task before us. We ask that you bless our efforts with clear insight, our deliberations with wisdom, our work with clarity and accuracy, and our decisions with impartiality. Now we ask that you be with each and every council member assembled here tonight, our city workers, our firefighters, our police officers, all of our first responders, that you may keep them safe. All these things we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get into the body of our meeting, we do have a couple of things before our agenda. And the first is a swearing-in ceremony, and I'm going to ask the chief to come up and lead us through that. Chief?
Mr. Mayor, Council, Administrative staff, we appreciate you giving us this opportunity tonight to swear in a firefighter. We have Ethan Haney. He has reached his 6-month probationary period. He was 23 years old, graduate of Westside High School. He's been a volunteer firefighter with Anderson County for 9 years. He received his ISAC Firefighter 2 certification from South Carolina Fire Academy and has completed his 6-month probation. Ethan, if you will raise your right hand and repeat after me. I,
Ethan Haney,
do solemnly swear to do my duties
do solemnly swear to do my duties
as an Anderson City firefighter
as an Anderson City firefighter
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
to serve my commanding officers
to serve my commanding officers
with respect and dignity,
with respect and dignity,
to serve the citizens of the city of Anderson
to serve the citizens of the city of Anderson
with compassion, courage, and integrity,
with compassion, courage, and integrity,
and to uphold the laws,
and to uphold the laws,
rules, and regulations
rules, and regulations
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the state of South Carolina,
the state of South Carolina,
and the city of Anderson.
and the city of Anderson.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My fiance, my parents, and my sister, they all helped me get through it.
Congratulations.
We have one more special recognition, and I'm going to ask Jeff Trainman and Chase Christopher to come down as they're coming down to join me at the podium. It's always an honor for myself and our council members to recognize those individuals that volunteer on our councils. And this one is a special recognition because I've known this guy, and a lot of you have known him for a while, Chase Christopher. And Jeff is the housing director of Anderson Housing Authority. And a lot of times, the people who serve on our commissions and our boards are volunteers. We don't pay them any money. And when you find an individual who has been committed to an organization like the Anderson Housing Authority, and also to the city, that is very special. And Chase was recognized. I'll get Jeff to talk a little bit about it too. because he sent a letter, and Chase has been recognized by the Carolina Council of Housing, Redevelopment, and Codes, a special recognition. And again, these guys are touching the very fabric of our community that needs help. They need affordable housing, and they do a great job doing it. And so I'm going to turn the mic over to Jeff. Jeff?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Jeff Trahan. When I came here almost 10 years ago, Mr. Chase Christopher was the chairman. He was one of the individuals that hired me. And the first thing I came to know was that he wanted everything to be done right. Many years before he came on board, at the same time as our mentor, Lester McDowell, they started serving together. And during this time, he's been instrumental in guiding our agency to remain solvent, to reach all our goals and maintain high performance. And I also like to mention that there's over 200 and plus commissioners in the state of South Carolina for housing authorities, and he was chosen amongst those. And one of the reasons I think he was chosen, it was because as the chairman, he also has a full-time job. And yet he probably missed less meetings than anyone has ever met. He's met with me on off time to discuss important matters. I watched him raise his kids and get them through school, all while volunteering and trying to fit this in. And he's always provided that leadership to our other board. And I'm very thankful for that, because without his leadership, I don't think we would be as solvent and as well as we are. And you could just Google, and some agencies right now are running into problems. And I'm very thankful and grateful that we've maintained a good solvent ground. And that's because Chase has always told me, it's on you, you better do it right. And I want to thank him for that.
Thank you so much. Surround yourself with good people, you get good results.
Very good. Appreciate it. Thank you. Chase, could we get a photo, please? Okay. Yeah. Oh, get down. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Council. Appreciate it.
The minutes of our September the 9th meeting were distributed. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
Make a motion that we approve them as presented.
First by the Mayor Pro Tem, a second by Mr. Newton. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? The minutes of September the 9th pass unanimously. We have 3 items of old business, and I'll jump directly to the first item. The first item is request second reading of ordinance 19-11 to annex and zone to general commercial, 0.4 acres located at 3526 Clemson Boulevard, and an adjacent 0.01 acres located at the corner of Clemson Boulevard and Fritz Drive. Ms. McEwen?
Mayor and Council, this is second reading. It's been before you on first reading and also to the Planning Commission, and Maurice McKenzie will present the details of this on second reading. Maurice?
Thank you. As Mr. McEwen mentioned, this came before you and you approved it on first reading at the September 9th meeting. Nothing has changed with this particular request. Again, it's a request to annex and zone to GC, general commercial, 0.4 of an acre of land located at 3526 Clemson Boulevard. It's completely surrounded by city properties inside the city that is also zoned GC, general commercial. It is to be combined with the portions of those properties for commercial development. And also a 0.01 acre parcel, like 400 square feet, located at the corner of Clemson Boulevard and Fritz Drive that city owned. It was part of the property when Fritz Drive was developed for use as a site triangle, so we're requesting to bring that in as well. But again, This is coming before you on second reading. We recommend approval of it.
Thank you. Comments, questions? Mr. Roberts, then Mr. Stewart.
Mayor and council, this is good for the city. There's no reason why we shouldn't do it. So for that reason, I motion that we move forward with this annexation.
First by Mr. Jeff Roberts, the second by Dr. Thompson. Further discussion, Mr. Stewart?
Just curious, that little triangle, we're just gonna just keep it in the city just for sight distances, or what are we gonna do with that?
It'll remain in the city's ownership until the property, or Fritz Drive, which is a private drive now, if it's ever deeded to the city for public use as a public street, it'll go with that.
Any further questions? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously on the final reading. Our second item of old business is request second reading of ordinance 1912 to rezone 16.82 acres at the northern corner of Glenwood Avenue and Blakely Street from light industrial to R5 single family residential. Ms. McEwen?
At the first review by council on August the 12th, there were several revisions that were made to this, and we had updates to you. And then following on September 9th meeting, there was some additional information requested by council to be looked into for this project. And so Maurice McKenzie will update you on that, the results of that. We have many of those answers for you tonight here on second reading.
Thank you. As the mayor mentioned, you're familiar with the location of this property by now. It's the corner of Glenwood and Blakely, currently zoned LI light industrial. Request is to rezone it to R5 single family residential for the development of a subdivision. And as Mr. McEwen mentioned, on August 12th, this came before you with some council input, some public input. The applicant went back to the drawing board, reduced the number of lots from 62 to 53 lots, increased the perimeter landscaping along the street frontages of Glenwood and Blakely to include a berm, 4 feet tall, and specific plantings to create a screen on top of that. And also drafted some language to be incorporated into the homeowners association guidelines regarding parking inside the subdivision. When it came back to you for reconsideration at September 9th, you did approve it on first reading. However, there were a few more concerns raised by you, the city council, and the public. So the applicant took those comments. Those 3 comments that were noted were the possibility of reducing the posted speed limit on Glenwood Avenue in front of the subdivision, the ability to widen the entrance of the subdivision to allow a left and right turn out onto Glenwood. And also, there was a request made to take a look to see if the driveway length could be extended by setting back the garages a little further than the front corner of the house. So those were posed to the applicant. And as far as the speed limit on Glenwood Avenue is concerned, the staff did reach out to DOT, and they did agree that it's feasible to reduce the speed limit on Glenwood, actually the entire section. So they're in the process now of reducing it from, I believe it's 30 miles per hour down to 25 miles per hour. So they're in the process of having the signs made and installed. It may be a few weeks, but that is going to be reduced to 25 miles per hour. As far as the exit onto Glenwood Avenue, the applicant did take a closer look, and the exit can be configured to allow those. So those will be incorporated into the revised plat when it's up for review. So again, there will be a left and right turn out of the subdivision onto Glenwood. The other item that was brought up was the possibility of setting back the garage further to have a longer driveway in order to have a better accommodation for parking. And the applicant did discuss this with the home builder that he's working with, and they determined it's not feasible to set back the garages, but included in your packet is a diagram showing what the setback would be per the proposed setback of 20 feet, and then where the edge of pavement is, there's still 13 feet on either side. That's part of the right-of-way. So when you add those two together, it shows that there's a setback of 33 feet. So they wanted to show you that there is actually will be 33 feet of driveway length. And also to be noted that the width of the driveway is 18 feet, so that could accommodate 2 cars side by side. Again, this came before you on September 9th. You did approve it on first reading with the request to explore those 3 items. So that's our update. The applicant is here if you have further questions for him.
Thank you. I think Mr. Newton and I attended Mr. Lockridge's community meeting, I think directly after that, and I think you explained that to your group. And it appeared that they, and I don't know, there were 20 or so people there, and it was a diverse crowd. Any comments on that?
I do have one. I would like to know, it says the applicant stated that it's not feasible to also design some houses set back garages. Do we know why that's not feasible?
It's also been requested that we put a berm in the back. The lots just are not, they're just not deep enough to get farther back.
In other words, the houses are so long that you wouldn't have any backyard. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Any other comments, questions? Ms. Roberts?
You know, in our city, I think one of the greatest challenges we're going to face in the coming years is managing growth, and this is a good example. And I want to be the first to say I'm not opposed to this rezoning whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I'm in favor of it. I just think we need to get it right, and I think we're almost there. I'm not opposed to a 15-foot setback, and I think it's more of a parking issue than it is a setback issue. Some configurations may have a rear parking where all you need is a narrow driveway to get to the back, which would allow for a closer front setback. But when you start stacking cars in the front, and I even went to the trouble of measuring my own truck, and it measured 18.5 feet. Measured the car next to my truck, and measured about 16 feet. So when you stack these cars in there, they're going to be right on the edge of the curb. And I think safety is, in my mind, the first and foremost priority. When you stack these cars in there, you have limited sight distance to back out. You may have an oncoming car, maybe a kid on a bike, you know, something like that. So safety in my mind is the first and foremost concern. Once we do this, we're stuck with it, and I don't mean that in a bad way. This is it. This is what we've got, and this is what we'll deal with forever. And forever is a long time. I was going to suggest that, and I realize you're saying you can't set it back any further, but is there any negotiating? Can we get another 2 feet out of it? At least it's not right on the edge. It's just another 2 feet.
The builder's concerned about marketability with the lots the way they are. You know, the backyards are getting really small.
What is the backyard right now? Do you know?
It varies, but I think we're looking at 30, 40 feet.
I think the minimum rear setback is 10 feet.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's some of them there are.
That's in our ordinance, 10 feet, which is really small.
Yeah.
But I was hoping to get maybe 2 more feet out of it.
Well,
We'll call it a deal.
Yeah, we're trying to provide affordable housing for, you know, and make it nice.
Size. It just moves it back 2 feet and then allows just for, if you look at your drawing,
But we have,
that car is against the garage door,
Mhm.
and then you pull another one behind it. It's literally touching the bumper, and then the next car is at the edge of the curb.
well, I mean, we can always ask, but, you know, at this point, I think we've provided 6 parking spaces for a 3-bedroom home.
Maybe it'd be good to have the builder come here and speak with us.
Excuse me?
Maybe it'd be nice to have the builder come here and speak with us.
I might be able to get that done.
because I'm kind of like Councilman Roberts, you know, I'm all for it too, but I'm just looking at the safety, you know, the kids riding bikes down the street and just having that safety issue there. And once we, you know, echo what he said, once we do this thing, it's there forever and a day. And then we've got problems that we gotta additionally deal with and,
Well, I believe this does exceed the setbacks in many of the other neighborhoods already.
I agree. Again, you know, we've talked about this a lot, and I agree, safety is an issue. Safety is an issue all over the city, whether it's this length of a driveway or any other length of a driveway. So, I mean, that's always going to be an issue. We do have a request in front of us. So I guess the issue now is just determining whether or not we're going to act on the request.
I have one question, well, a couple more questions. First, in your section dealing with the parking restrictions, in the example one, it says, all, at no time shall parked vehicles approach into the alley or public right of way or any street bordering the community. At no time, and it goes on, and it says all, at all times. But yet, in the later paragraph, C, it says, subdivision, private, let me see. Each owner, his family member, and visitor shall use the on-site parking located on the owner's lot to park their vehicles and shall not routinely park vehicles on any public or private street in the subdivision except under special circumstances such as social functions, meetings, and similar functions held in the residence. That means that it's sort of like a duality there, that which you say, first you don't have any, and then you say here you do, except exceptions. You do have exceptions.
I think we're trying to allow for folks to have Christmas parties and, you know, have some people on the street. I mean, it's not an everyday thing.
Well, again, you know, the whole thing is about safety. I'm not against this project.
Mm-hmm.
I do think we do need to meet as a council to upgrade this section of our rules and regulations concerning housing and that kind of thing. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and vote that this be approved tonight, or make a motion that this.
Is that a motion? Okay, Mr. Locker's made a motion for approval of the request.
I would like to have the if possible, have the builder come and speak to the council.
I'm sure I could get them to come.
We have, wait a second, we have a first, can we get a second?
Second.
Dr. Thompson has a second. Further discussion?
Councilman Lockridge, I would just ask, you know, before we move forward on this tonight, because once we move forward on it tonight, the cars are gonna be as is, they're gonna be hanging off in the road. Would you not think it might be beneficial for your residents to at least give this thing another 2 weeks to see if we could push this thing back another 2 feet? So those cars, because when you're talking, like Councilman Roberts said, his truck is 18 feet and his car is 16, well, that's 34.5 feet. Well, this driveway's only 33.5 feet, so you already got a foot hanging out in the street with 2 cars, and see if you could get that extra 2 foot, and that would put everything into that driveway. But I'll defer that to you. It's just a thought that I would want to see, because there's really no sense in bringing the builder to talk with us if we're going to approve this tonight. The purpose of
I agree with that.
But also you were saying that, and maybe Jeff echoed this, maybe in the scope of everything, I mean, as far as setbacks, you had mentioned something about maybe changing the ordinance.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For future, which would you do for future developments?
But I think it's one of those situations where we can need to go ahead and adopt this tonight, and then go ahead later with some changes in ordinances.
but this neighborhood will never be changed.
Well, the one across the street's worse than this one.
Mr. McKeon, is there an administrative recommendation?
Yes, she's been working on this. You know, I echo the thoughts that the zoning ordinance needs to be updated. Maurice McKenzie and his staff have been working on those updates the last several weeks, actually. So you'll see something along those lines coming up. Be able to critique those and help us move forward. I think at this point, you know, looking at what we got originally and what we have now, and the developer's willingness to consider and make some revisions based on y'all's comments, staff recommends approval on this. We think this is a good development.
Good. Mr. Stewart?
Just a general comment, you know, all due respect, Councilman Lockridge, you know, I'm gonna have to not vote to approve this tonight, and just want to let you know why.
I understand.
Because, you know, even though we got a subdivision across the street that probably worse than this, two wrongs, it ain't no sense in putting another wrong where we waited 2 weeks that we might can correct a second wrong from happening. So, but with that, you know, I'll defer that, and just want to let you know that's my rationale.
I understand. Wait.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Opposed? We have Mr. Lockridge, Easer, Mr. John Roberts, and Mr. Stewart, the Mayor Pro Tem. And
I'm in favor.
And okay, so those two oppose.
I will say one other thing. You know, these are promises by the builder to do these things. They don't have to do any of it. These are simply promises that they said that they would do. And like the mayor said, and Andrew said, at the very beginning, we started out with something that's not half, I mean, it was not a very good plan, in my estimation. We've improved it, we've made some improvements on it, but the problem is not with the builder. In many ways, the problem is with the laws that we have on the books presently. And so that's where we need to make the changes so that we don't have this situation to occur again. No, I'm not completely happy with this, but at the same time, it's one of those things that sometimes you just have to bite a bullet. It's better and so much better than what it was, and the neighborhood seems to be much happier with what's going on, with what they're doing, rather than what was going on before. That's all I have to say.
Good.
If you'll let me add one more thing.
Yes.
I do agree with Councilman Lockridge. These were promises, but they also will have to do these items that we've negotiated as part of this rezoning. So yes, they promise, but yes, we will require them to implement.
Okay. Good. And I think the other tough part about it is that it's dealing with growth, like Mr. Jeff Roberts said. We'll be faced with a growing community. They're still with over 16 square miles of land. There's still opportunities for builders to come in, and we do need to address that. And I don't want the general public to get the misconception that both of these neighborhoods are good neighborhoods that have good people living in them, that pride of ownership, and it's an asset to our city. So I want to thank you too. We'll move on. Our third item of old business is request second reading of ordinance 19-13 for equipment lease purchase agreement in the amount not exceeding $855,000. Mr. McEwen.
Mayor and council, this is second reading. Again, this is part of implementing items in our budget to buy rolling stock equipment for Public Works Complex, for Public Works Department. And Margo Martin will go over the second reading of this financing. Margo?
Okay. We are requesting approval of ordinance 1913, authorizing an equipment lease purchase not exceeding $855,000 The staff presented the capital equipment needs to the city council during our budget process in May and June. Public Works identified several items of aging equipment that needed to be replaced. A detailed list was included, is attached, and council did give approval on the first reading on September 9th. We recommend using this lease agreement to finance major equipment for the Public Works. The estimated annual debt service payments are estimated to be $187,000, and the debt service payments are included in the capital replacement fund budget. So we're requesting approval on second reading of ordinance 1913, authorizing the equipment lease purchase in the amount not to exceed $855,000.
Thank you. Questions, comments?
The last meeting we talked about this, decided that this is a much needed thing to go into public works. Them to do that job appropriately, they need the appropriate situation, equipment to do that job appropriately. So, I would like to motion that pass this on.
First by Dr. Thompson,
Second.
second by Mr. Lockridge. Further discussion? I think Mr. Jeff Roberts made a point about that seemed like a lot, but, you know, we talked about how the rolling stock and it aged, and it definitely needs to, the fleet always needs to be improved. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Thank you. We'll move right on to new business, and our first item of new business is request consideration of a contract amendment for the City Hall and the Municipal Building Center project. Ms. McEwen?
This is a project that your staff and city council as a whole have been working together on for right about 2 years now in preparation for the renovation, envelope renovation, the roof construction, new roof construction above City Hall complex, and also the Municipal Business Center. Just to kind of recap real quick, at our January 28th meeting, the City Council did select as our contractor CE Bourne and Company out of Greenwood. They had also partnered with Aldrich Builders LLC out of Greenwood to perform roof and envelope renovations to City Hall, the Municipal Business Center. We did use a different construction method this time. Instead of just putting it out for bid, we did a construction manager at risk. And basically what that means, it allowed us to bring have a contract directly with the contractor, and then separately a contract with the architect, and bring them on board, bring the contractor on board during the pre-construction part of the project and pre-construction design and pricing of this project, instead of just completely putting out bid and see what we get. By doing so, it's allowed us to work collaboratively together as a team and focus in on this project, get additional opinions when necessary, examine items that we wouldn't have the opportunity in the just putting it out for bid process. It has been very good for us, and the next step of this is moving forward with a guaranteed maximum price. And you say, what does that mean? A guaranteed maximum price is an amount after complete review of the project that this process allows the contractor is saying, for this amount of money, I can complete the project. And within that amount of money, they have built in a contingency on their side. They're motivated to actually have savings throughout the project if they identified other savings. Or if they don't have to use their contingency at all, which we hope, we'll have a savings to the city, 65% to us, 35% to the contractor. To help motivate them to look at and identify other ways of saving costs during the project. However, this is a comprehensive project, and as part of that, the city has reserved money and reserved 8% contingency on this project for unknowns. We do have the original part of the City Hall complex is the police department. It is wood frame, and there are areas that even through about a year and a half studying it that we just couldn't inspect without doing demolition. And so there's the possibility of unknowns as far as discovering a roof deck that might be damaged from water intrusion and so forth. And so therefore we have a budget appropriately for that. City Council reserved money in the budget for this year. And so the amount of the total project, including contingency, is coming under budget, that we've actually assigned for that. And we actually have Mike Taylor, who's the principal at DP3 Architects, and Mike Stedman from CE Bourne here tonight to answer any additional questions. And to clarify, we did have a work session before this with the city council. There was a couple of questions, and Mr. Taylor is able to clarify some of those items for you. If I call Mr. Taylor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I am Mike Taylor with DP3 Architects. I want to refer Council to the summary sheet that we reviewed during the work session tonight.
The one pager or the big one?
The one pager. I'd like to point out that the total project, including construction and design fees for both buildings, is $4,617,109. Appropriated for the project by council some months ago was $5,140,000. So the project is under budget, which allows the city to have the contingency that Mr. McEwen referenced. So what we're asking for tonight is an amendment to the CM at risk contract to include a guaranteed maximum price, construction price for the project. The good news I bring you today is that the contract before you says that we're asking you to approve $4,617,109, but that's a mistake on my part. That number includes the design fees as well. You are contracted with our firm under a separate agreement for design fees. So the construction piece, the number we're actually asking you to approve tonight, is $209,609. Let me say that again. $4,209,609. That's the number indicated in the contract before you, subtracting the design fees out. Can I answer a question about that? Because that's a number change.
Yep, that makes sense. Just the 258, 500, and the 149,000.
Right.
Okay.
There also was a discussion during the work session about some reduced bond rates if we combine bonds. And so the number I'm asking you to approve tonight does not reflect that reduction, but that would, once that reduction is calculated, that'll be done as the first order of this project, a deductive change order.
But is that would be right off the bat, 65-35 split?
That'd be 100% back to the city. That wouldn't be part of the split.
Reduce the contract up front.
Right.
Yep.
I just don't know the number to reduce it right this minute. As soon as we have that calculated, it'll be reduced 100% back to the city.
So those were the two questions that came up during the work session. Do we have anything else in regards to questions on the contract?
A lot of work's gone into this, and I'm happy to see the numbers that are reflected. They're big. We can tell what I've done, and appreciate everything. I've gone through the work sessions. Administration for getting on it. And personally, I'd like to make a motion to proceed with the contract.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Discussion?
Just another quick question. Since the contract is being reduced from $4,992,000, well, what, 4,617 to 4,209, David, does that mean that we still keep the 370 owner contingency, or will that number decrease as well?
Yeah, so really we have over $5,140,000 reserved for the project. So the difference there would be we still have that assigned to the project just for our accounting, our own accounting.
370?
Right, so the 370 remains, but in addition to that, we have some additional contingency if needed We don't plan on spending that money, but it is in a separate accounting in case we do need it, because the project did come under budget, and we estimated higher on purpose just in case we do come across any unforeseen conditions. We have that set aside away from operations to be able to handle that.
Anything else? Good. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? It passes unanimously. Thanks all. Thank you, guys. Mike, quick question, Mike. When do we start? Mr. Roberts brought up a good point. When do we mobilize? When do we start? When do we finish? Estimates, I'm sure.
The plans have been approved by the city building department. We have responses back to them already. And it's just a matter of now the contractor mobilizing and getting started. So I will defer to the contractor on that, but I think within weeks.
The end of October is scheduled.
And what I read is a 36-week project.
Yes, sir.
It's my project.
Good.
I will note that the hotel project for downtown will be ongoing at the same time, so there'll be some coordination between the two contractors to achieve both those projects.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, guys from Greenwood. Appreciate it.
Thank you, ladies and
Thank
gentlemen.
you. We'll move on to our second item of new business. That is request consideration to purchase a fire safety house trailer for the fire department. Mr. McEwen.
I'm proud to present both these items to you tonight, and I'll turn it over to the fire department in just a second. But I want to first speak on, and from experience, directly applying for grants to FEMA. They do offer FEMA. FEMA offers grants to fire departments, and after they started this after 9/11 to help fire departments to increase their equipment, their personnel, safety, and safety education, and different other programs. And I will say they're highly competitive and very difficult to get. They've become even more difficult in recent years as they have kind of decreased the funding on some of these projects. And there's quite a process you have to go through with it. First, submit an application, which is a very detailed and long application. A lot of time has to go into it doing that. And you have to get through a round of essentially a computer analytics that grades it. It's very hard to get through that process. It grades it automatically. And you get through that, and it goes to peer review, which is a group of peers from across the country, fire chiefs, administrators. They sit down, go through every application before them, and ultimately grade them, and then they put them up against other applications. And so it's a very competitive process. And we're fortunate tonight to have been awarded 2 of the FEMA grants. And the first one, I want to introduce Assistant Chief Michael Guest of the fire department that took it upon himself to pursue this grant. And we were ultimately awarded that, and he will talk to you about what it is. So, Mr. Guest?
Yes. All right, so as you see, it will be a new fire safety house, new state-of-the-art. It will replace our 24-year-old current fire safety house we have that is in much need of repair. This is totally touchscreen, has, if you see on your paper there, it's all light, sound, user-friendly, and also is a sprinkler demonstration unit. That was a big part of us getting the grant, was to do some sprinkler education for the public. That was one of their keys this year. They were focusing on at FEMA, was to do a sprinkler demo. So this actually has a little burn unit in the front, safe burn, that the spectators watch from the outside and watch a sprinkler actually extinguish a fire.
Good. Thanks. That's neat. Questions, comments?
I will add to that so the grant is for 95% of it, so 125,669, and we match that 5%. We're in the 5% category for that, 5,984, and that is budgeted.
Wow. Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Just have a comment or a question, really. The old firehouse, do we have an opportunity to pass that on to another community?
We will be passing that on as a loaner to another community.
That'd be great.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts?
Where would this be kept while it's not in use being used outside?
Currently, we're keeping the other one at our Station 3 on Simpson Road, so I would imagine it would be placed there, be inside.
Inside?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Any other questions, comments?
Thank you for that grant.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Very fortunate, especially we received it on the first round. Like Mr. McEwen said, they're very competitive to get.
Very good.
You must be a good grant writer.
Sir?
I said, you must be a good grant writer.
That's my first time getting it. It's my second or third time applying for it. So, I don't know if it's lucky or the other stuff.
Now you get us a fire truck there.
Oh, yeah.
No further questions? Motion? Second, we have a first by Mr. John Roberts, second by the Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Our last item is request consideration to purchase source capture exhaust removal systems for the fire department. Ms. McEwen?
So again, another competitive grant process. This was completely separate from the other one. So this was a grant that was written, put in as part of their safety additions to fire departments. And Assistant Chief Adam Zanoni will present this item to you, and also the grant writer on this one. Assistant Chief.
Thank you. This is a 90% FEMA grant, 10% our part. It's a 100% source capture exhaust system removal system for Station 1 and 2. Station 3 did not qualify because it's a newer building. But it hooks up to each of our apparatus anytime they're inside the building, and all the exhaust fumes are ported outside. With the effects of the carcinogens from the vehicles and everything that's burning now, this is for our protection and the protection of our citizens that come in for different demonstrations and tours. And again, this is my second year putting in for it, and I did get it this time. I'm pretty happy with that.
All right, good deal.
Good grant writer.
Yep.
You get 95%?
This is no. It's a 90-10. I'm learning about these. Each that Michael or I put in for, each one has, based on your whole city, is a 90 or a 80 or 95, and it doesn't come out until the end what the percentage is. But 10%, I'm pretty happy with 10% on our side.
Well, yeah, we are too. Any other comments, questions?
What, you know, when you close the doors and you don't have an exhaust system, you're using those diesels, how in the world do you stay in there with the diesels running in the first place?
Well, we can't. Anytime we run in the apparatus now, we have to have the doors open, which in the wintertime, we're losing all our heat. They're huge doors. And our sleeping quarters at Station 1 are in the upstairs. Naturally, all the fumes are rising up and coming in the bedroom. And I don't know if you've looked at reports on cancer and firefighters, but it's really increasing now.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first step to us protecting ourselves.
It's a great thing to protect the police and the fire department.
Yes.
We want to do that. I'd like to see this system approved.
We have a first by Mr. Lockridge.
So we already had a top-notch fire department in the city of Anderson. And with these additions, we really going to have a top-notch fire department. So I really compliment and thank the fire department, all of these grants
Thank you.
that had funded.
That was a second by Dr. Thompson. Any comments?
You know when we may get this equipment and the new firehouse and have any dates? Yeah, for both of them.
You're looking at a minimum of about 180 days on the safety house, and that's, I say minimum, as people are getting grants, that will increase as other people order these trailers. It's custom deal. It's not, sitting on the lot ready to go. There's a lot of extras we added in as far as a handicap ramp, here smoke alarms, full station, teach people how to pull the fire alarms, different things. So it'll be custom built, so a minimum of 180 days, and that'll go up as people get in on these grants. And, if you approve it, I'll call it tomorrow and get us on the list.
It's the same with ours. We got one of the early distributions so far, and I have not accepted. I'll accept it tomorrow with your approval. Being that we're early in line, hopefully it's going to be fairly soon. The sooner the better.
Very good. Thank you. Have first and second. All those in favor Ms. Roberts, Jeff Roberts.
So, I appreciate your concern for your health and safety. Do y'all do any public awareness of carbon monoxide poisoning as a, because
Actually,
this,
Michael is our public information person, our trainer. He can answer some questions if you'd like.
We do add carbon dioxide in, just for statistics. Last year, 2018, we used our safety house 30 times. We did 180 fire safety presentations or programs, and we taught 14,169 people about fire and life safety issues. So we do include carbon monoxide, fire safety, all sorts of safety. And the new trailer will go into more of severe weather, carbon monoxide, a lot of different things besides fire safety.
We also install those in the houses.
We do install smoke alarms.
And the other thing is the carbon monoxide.
Carbon monoxide.
We have before when we've got a grant with
Red Cross.
Red Cross.
Yeah.
We did both. Hopefully, and a lot of times their grant is dependent on similar to what we're getting, so hopefully they're getting one similar and we can do that again with them.
Thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, guys. The passage is unanimously. Administrative briefing, Ms. McEwen.
Just a couple quick things on the calendar to bring your attention to. Apparently, the first day falls today. Certainly doesn't feel like it. I did read that. And we're supposed to have some hot temperatures still facing here over the next 20 days. So it'll be interesting. This was your last council meeting in September. This Thursday, the 26th, we do have the Concerned Citizens of Eastside community meeting at 5 p.m. at District 5 Alternative School. On Friday, the 27th, we have movie night in Carolina Wren Park. We did have to reschedule this because of previous rain on another Friday. So this will be Captain Marvel, and we hope to have a good crowd out here for that Friday night. And going into October, one of our signature events that we have each year, and it's going to be on Tuesday, October the 1st, and it's Fresh Takes from 6 to 9 p.m., Carolina Wren Park. It's an opportunity for a lot of vendors that we partner with on both the food to farm side of things to come out, get a sampling from a lot of different restaurants. It's fantastic food, a lot of fun, and there's also some cultural and arts items that you can buy as well, a band, and it's just a good time. And I look forward to seeing everybody out to that. Mr. Strickland's birthday. So, so he was for two.
I'm sorry, who?
Mr. Strickland's birthday.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then also coming up on October, before it sneaks up on us, October the 8th is Seat Sits Neighborhood Watch Meeting, 6:30 p.m. at the Recreation Center. That's Mr. Lawford's community meeting. And we have movie night in Carolina Wren Park, also again October the 11th, and it's the movie Goonies, great movie. Our next council meeting is scheduled for October the 14th at 6 p.m. That's all I have for you tonight, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, sir. It's hard to believe it's October.
Not quite.
I will, almost. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before I make the motion, I want to give a quick shout out to firefighter Haney and his family. They were probably not, they didn't know they had to stay the whole time or whatever. But I think he's the first person that we swore in that stuck around the whole time. So, they barely threw it off, so I want to give them a quick shout out. At that, I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Exactly. We have a first and we have a second.
Minded folks.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? We stand adjourned.
That was great. I love